Okay. Okay, looks like I am live. So, good night. Good night. Good night to all those who are now joining. Good night. Good night. Good evening to all. Tonight is a very, very, very special night. And I want to use this opportunity to make known personally of what is happening in the diaspora with Gavin Matthews. And the reason why I am expounding upon it tonight is because of a very particular subject and activity of the Gavin Matthews Show. So, welcome to you all those who are now joining from Guyana to Caribbean and around the world, especially in the diaspora. I want to make mention to the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the US Virgin Isles, Mexico, US, Canada, UK, EU, China, Beijing, Hong Kong, Japan, to the Korean Peninsula, to India and Pakistan, to the places like Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. And I'm talking about Guyanese who are working there in that particular area. To those who are joining from the Australian continent, the New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Isles, from the African continent, from Cote d'Ivoire as far away as Sudan, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, to those who are joining from the South American continent as far as Chile and Argentina, to as close as Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Suriname, French and Dutch Guyana. To those who are joining from the Netherlands, especially from the Netherlands. And I know we had a brace with the Netherlands the other day, I think it was 4 days ago, where they found 1,100 pounds of cocaine stashed in a shipment of rum come from Guyana going to the Netherlands. 1,100 pounds of cocaine, yes. And suddenly Kanu get into a frantic. The Central Anti-Narcotics Unit got into a frantic. I don't know. All that drugs being destroyed, all that drugs being found again. That's a lot of cocaine. To those who are joining from Trinidad and Tobago, and Curacao, Barbados, our newly republic Caribbean country, as a matter of fact. It might be an island, but it's a republic. To those who are now joining, a pleasant good night to you. We come to you at this time because we start at 7:30, and take a little time to join because there's some things I want to talk about tonight. And one of them is the constant interference with the Gavin Matthews show. I want to say to you that everyone who looks at this show, who joins in the live stream, I want you to take specific heedance, or according to the Caribbeans, I want you to take heed that you see this thing that we call Facebook account. The minute I finish on the show, I see 3 accounts pop up that are part of my management page. Doesn't know where it comes from. This is the markings of it. It said hrh.p.matthews. So I had to block all of them. These people that I'm talking about, or these suddenly pop-ups that I'm talking about, they are squatters. And to those who are looking at the Gavin Matthews show, those squatters may be on your page also too. Be very much careful. There's some of you, or there's some persons that you would have known has lost contact, direct contact with the Gavin Matthews show because of these illegal immigrants that I may call popping up on your Facebook page. Illegal Facebook immigrants. Yes. We got a lot of them. They call themselves scrolls. They call themselves hackers. So we got to be very much careful of them. This is the reason why that the Gavin Matthews show has not been, spread completely. But it's now depending on you who are looking to spread the word. To spread the word. By the way, this is Dr. Matthews saying good night to all those who are now joining. And as we speak, here we go. Friday, I was cut off because of subsequently the same thing. My show was suddenly diverted from Facebook to another page. So I want to constantly tell you who are looking at, yes, they do have problems with me. The de facto administration, they don't like me. They got constant regroupings to how to destroy Gavin Matthews. And here are we going to do it now. We are going to hack into his site. However they do it, I'm not the kind of IT personnel, but we're going to hack into his site. And we're going to reduce his number of viewership. And when we reduce that viewership, we're going to leave him vulnerable. So we can be able to attack him. Because the less people hear of Gavin Matthews is the better. So we get time now how to step in and destroy his life. Remember, this is how the PPP works. So, but for me, I don't really care. I just don't care. Just don't. I pay no attention. I study less. I study less about safety of my life and other things, I only study about my children, really. They are the most important. As a matter of fact, my family. I don't really study about me. But let's get the talking tonight. Tonight, we're talking about state sponsored terrorism. Yes, state sponsored terrorism. And it's a constant thing to destroy the morals of the black community in Guyana, which I may call state sponsored terrorism. As long as the government is using the public fund, the taxpayers' money, to terrorize another group of Guyanese by trying to dismantle them and spend money to changing their culture, is what I may call state-sponsored terrorism, right? So, just hold a minute for me, please. Let me see. I gotta fix this camera. Yes, I think the camera's fixed properly. Yes. So the state-sponsored terrorism is that you find out they're using the public's money to disenfranchise a lot of people. And why do I come around this topic? Over the years, the PPP was sponsored either by a narcotic affiliation or a group of people that are outside of different countries. I was foiled by their attempts to do that by the United States, and they were maybe given money. They were working, the US was working hard to create a drug enforcement agency office here. They did that through the David Granger administration. Now we're back at the same thing. Now, what happens is that everyone who speaks out against such atrocities, they're being murdered. Now we have another brewing issue on our hands. One of them is Exxon Mobil. Everywhere Exxon goes, everywhere, it's a lot of trouble that they go with them behind. Is either that country continues to be corrupt because they sponsor it, or that country continues to be dead poor to its citizens. And how come did I come about such conversations tonight? Is because for everything that they do, they impact the government of the day. And as long as the government of the day does not want to go in accordance with that particular company, you'll find all sorts of, I call it mishaps, starts happening. Government ministers are either assassinated. Certain government officials are either banned from the country, banned from participating in the political culture of that country. And they can't see eye to eye with each other. Their duty is to spend money in destabilizing the country. So one political party is not wealthy enough, or the country is not wealthy enough to concentrate on Exxon and concentrate on the economics of that country. So they're basically concentrating on Exxon. And while the Exxon is being concentrated upon, they are now concentrated upon that same government of the day. So what happens? They spend more money than that particular government. Exxon spent $20 million on intelligence. We can't even match them as a country. We can't match $20 million in intelligence because the minute we share out $20 million to gather intelligence on Exxon, I'm talking about US currency. By the time it meet down to the original person to do the investigation, it ended up being 1 million US currency. The level of corruption is in this country is impeccable. It has a kick to it, a certain twist. You can make it, you can shake it up with some vodka and make an alcohol beverage out of it. The corrupt PPP should call that the shot. Because that's who they are. And Exxon likes working with people like that. So now there's a sponsorship to change the culture of a people in the country that I call state-sponsored terrorism. Remember, I told you guys that there's a particular minister who goes into these villages, like, for instance, Agricola on the East Bank, McDoom, Houston, Agricola, Eccles, and I'm talking about Old Road Eccles in those areas, and Barrettstown, those places. Remember I said to you that they're going into the village to make sure that investigation is being launched upon people who owns properties in those villages, and majority are black people of Afro origin, and haven't been paying the rates and taxes for years. And those same people are now being investigated. Letters are now being sent to their houses from the NDCs, the Neighborhood Democratic Councils, that looks after those villages that are being handed over to. As long as the village is not a town, is being handed over to a council, an NDC, that is controlled by the RDC, which is the Regional Democratic Council. And what happens, these people who lack the willpower to pay their taxes, June, they'll be sent letters pertaining to legal proceedings of taxes owed. That's the investigation, really. Whilst that investigation is going on, this little minister from this little boy from Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture is now parading in these villages, talking about enhancing playgrounds, basketball courts, football fields. So the culture of entertainment, sportsmanship shall be spread throughout these villages. In the meantime, the NDCs are taking their homes away from them and prepping it up as prime real estate for Exxon Mobil. That's what's now going on. That is what I call state-sponsored terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism. And it's been funneled by that little child that I caused so much emotional distress to. Nobody's watching that. That's a particular thing to talk about tonight because it's happening now. Some people have received letters and have marching orders. Why is this little boy goes through the same villages accompanied by these old phantom gang experts? The ton so old that could hardly twist to the right. But he feels that he walks into these villages with these individuals and we're supposed to have some level of fear. State-sponsored terrorism. And Barrett Jagdeo is enjoying the fullness of it because to him, it's working. To him, it's working. And that now brings to the other question, hits and jams. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's a terrible thing. Why I say hits and jams? Because they're well connected. They're so well connected. Man, look, these people are connected. Their connection runs so far back that I myself was amazed. I never knew that they used to run Avalanche. I never knew these things. I never knew that Mr. Ramson, these people were friends for such a long time. I did some investigation, and believe you me, I now see why they got that contract and more. The $346 million contract and more. That we didn't even know that they have received more contracts. They received contracts before they were issued the one for $346 million. A statement contracting company. Man, let me tell you something. You know what is it to acquire wealth and turn around and watch the same people that help you cross that bridge? That same people, those same persons that help to promote your grassroots company to make it where it are today, and you turn around and spat on them because you don't like how they look, because they're ghetto, and you don't approve or appreciate ghetto. And then you want to sit down and say you come from the ghetto, but you didn't acquire the position that you are in right now. You were given the position, you didn't acquire it. So you find the level of corruption is so great that it's now becoming an atrocity. It is now becoming an atrocity. Look at the level of corruption I'm talking about. Within the Guyana Police Force, imagine you're going to issue a statement and put it out there for a man that you said he's wanted for state-sponsored terrorism. I don't think it's state-sponsored terrorism. You say he's wanted for cyber crimes by causing division. Who caused more division right now than the PPP government? The PPP de facto regime. Who caused more? I want to know who really caused more distraction and destruction of the PPP government. To whom and by whom? Let's look at the 5 years of the David Granger government. Did we have mass killings or no? Did we have massacres or no? Did we have a sprout of narco activities or no? Did we have a high level of gang murders or no? Did we have a high level of corruption? Even to the ministers used to frighten to talk the big and bad because they were pellified by Mr. Granger. They were afraid. They had respect. They mightn't have the economic basis or biosis to make things work quickly, because just 5 years they had. But what they did in 5 years, the PPP couldn't do in 23 years. But there are no good set of people. Because they can't govern. It specifically shows that when you give them money, they take the money to do organized crime. And then they use the Guyana police force to continue their organized, corrupt activity. You vex because I'm going to issue you a liar's letter. That any country you can go to, you will issue that letter. Because it's been dealt with at an international level. So you vex. You put out a wanted bulletin. Look, these little children, these primary school children, these boys who claim they are men. And yet still, you're running around telling people like cause emotional distress. And you show you big and bad. You ain't big and bad. Without a big, strong black man walking at your side to make you feel safe, you're weak. You meet up them boys face to face and they can't even open their mouth. They're frightened of my poopsie. They want a thing. But they want to use the public funds to promote state-sponsored terrorism. So, I like my friend here, so he said, name one good thing that the APNU did for Guyana and the people of Guyana. You want to tell you what good thing? Let me tell you what good thing they did for Guyana. They keep corrupt people out of the pockets of Guyanese. That's one good thing. Everybody screaming, the business community screaming when the APNU FC was in government. They were screaming because they weren't making money. All the narco trading and money laundering was stopped in its tracks. You said name one good thing, I just named one good, real good thing. You feel it's Joker telling you? Ask the part that owns the Giftland Mall. You're talking about name one good thing. They did a lot of good things. The ex-Home Affairs Minister, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, said to them, look, you are bringing all the guns off the road. Being a lucky y'all. You bringing all the guns off the road. You think Robson Ben could ask them for bringing guns? They were talking about creating a gun code to put more black people children in jail. State-sponsored terrorism, we can talk about it. Instead of did like what Mr. Ramjatan did, look, watch. You know, we got strict policies now, the different government. We jail you since we finding you with it. Bring in the guns, bring and put you in jail, you bring it in. Can you forget? Can you remember that time? And it's not a little bit of gun coming, it's real guns came in. Real guns, real dirty come in. But now we gone back to the de facto administration. Instead of they'd done something like that, they're starting to open a gun court to put the black man child in jail. Why? Remember him bringing the gun into the community. It is the business community bringing the guns there. So the entertainment industry and culture can live up to its word. They're bringing the drugs there. so the entertainment industry can live up to its word. They're encouraging the prostitution there. So they are entertaining the entertainment industry and the culture. State-sponsored terrorism. So I can give the most popular radio station in Guyana $345 million. Without a question. They didn't even have to build a school. They just got to start. And they can say they run blocks. And the public coffers can take it now and get somebody else to complete it while they walk away $345 million. It happens. Instead of pass a law in Parliament to talking about jailing the CEO for GCOM and all these places, pass a law in Parliament to send the businessmen to jail when it takes taxpayers' money and they cannot live up to the contractual agreement of that contract. So we're talking about state-sponsored terrorism. So when you continue with the music on the airwaves and everybody's shaking and jumping, nobody got time with what goes on in the country anymore because the country's being given away free. So I put money into the industry of entertainment so it can become sponsored by the state. So the less you know, it is better for them. When you make a nation ignorant, the nation accepts any forms of terrorism. Will not Gavin Matthews. I can't sit down and keep quiet. I cannot. If I sit down and keep quiet, well, then I make no sense. All of us makes no sense. That's what makes me a product of my community, not of the system, of my community. It makes me a role model. And to speak against state-sponsored terrorism, because more money is now being pumped into the communities to sports that has nothing to do with the development of the child in the community. Nothing. All them hundreds of millions of dollars into sports. All right, let me say we get Jackie Jacket and you pumped all them money into sports. Where does the sportsman or the sportswoman go some beyond that? Gwendolyn O'Neill, the boxing long in Guyana. She had to wait until when she get a world title to be recognized to have a land, a house, and a car. You see what I'm talking about? When the people ready to go to the Olympics Commission telling them, look, you only can get $10 a day while staying where you're going. But you got to pay for your uniform. There's no recognition. So where does the sport industry goes? It goes to the entertainment industry. When you come and kick a ball or you play a ball, there's a big set there and it's sponsored by the music industry with all the drinking and the smoking and the guns available. That's what makes it now entertainment, because the sports industry then going to pop up the sporting entertainment. Boops, up comes Kashif and Shanghai again. Entertainment industry. The sports entertainment is now up. It is sponsored by the government, the de facto administration, that takes the life of the youth. It's now sports sponsored, state-sponsored terrorism. Because what is the youth gaining from it? Nothing. Check it out. You ain't You're putting money for him to buy a ball, a boots, and a socks for him to go and join a club. But you're not putting that money for him to have a college sponsorship so you can go to school, have an education, to have a basic knowledge of things so you can have a diploma or a certificate so you can continue the sport in case that he gets injured or on the way in sports, he decides to change his mind, he has something he can go to. No. Doesn't work so for the PPPT, the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. Doesn't work so for them at all. They like to sponsor you, but they want to terrorize you in that manner. So, I'm glad APNU didn't do a good thing for sports because I wanted them to continue doing the things for education so we can have an educated nation instead of an entertainment, sports culture in this country. We are not entertainers. Our culture is not to entertain anybody. It's to be educated and learn about your country. Develop your country by education and economics. That's what we're supposed to do. Not to have a dunce as a president. That, take a good look at that and understand where we stand as pertaining to education. Look at the level of education of this dunce who we got as a president, and you can understand. He's a product of the PPP because they don't want educated people up there. They want people that they can control. And when they tell them to jump, it means overboard. That's what they need to do. That's what he's doing. When they tell him to jump, he's overboard, he gone. I know what they turn around and start doing. Same thing again that they did for 23 years. State-sponsored terrorism. Give the businessmen the money, and then they go into the communities and clean them up. You could imagine, Linden, a town of Linden has so many contracting companies. So many contracting companies in the town of Linden of Region 10. You take a company all the way in Georgetown for build a school all the way in Linden. And then telling me it's been evenly contracted about. Or the people in Linden doesn't know how to bid for a contract. That is all the bidding processes that you'll have. Or they didn't meet the requirement. I wonder since when Statement Contracting Company met the requirement. I wanted to know since when, because they ain't got a machine. They ain't even got a bobcat, must an excavator. Which requirement are you talking about? When the people know who has the requirement are sitting down and hoping that they can have something to do so they can feed their families. Oh no, can't walk, say, got drink and get drunk. Put together 200 carts of Guinness, you can win $500,000. So why is you drinking the Guinness? Your blood pressure going up. You can't win the $500,000 yet, by the time you finish, you are going to the hospital. The entertainment industry is back, people. It is back. Clubs are now opening up. Brand new ones. Brand new clubs, strip joints. Every night, me a girl trying to line up for going to there. With these little thirsty ones that we have. No hope for the future with them. But they prefer to go and line up and do what they think it's right. So they can enjoy themselves. And at the end of the day, they gain nothing from it. When you finish, the de facto administration is shooting your children down in the streets. Then hold on. Then when you turn around and look at it now, our leaders who we expect to lead are sitting down, drinking from the same cup, enjoying the same small bundle of money, tell themselves that they're kings and queens. Suddenly there's no more representation. The only way you find a representation is at election time. Other than that, like, you can't humbug them, you can't beg them for nothing. You can't go to them and want to see them because you have a problem. You have to wait until election time for you to see them again. Whilst on the other hand, the de facto administration is continuing into its state-sponsored terrorism towards a community of people. The PPP to themselves don't tell themselves that they got the AP and UFC where they want them. So now they turn around now, they don't got them where they want them. So they turn around now to the black community. So we can terrorize them. First we can send a little boy out there for destroy them, discredit them, so they ain't got black leaders in the community. There's no role models. Remember luncheon this year, when I asked him the question, are there any black Guyanese who can be ambassadors to Guyana? No, not qualified black ones. Now they're begging Carl Goodrich not to leave. They want him to stay. Same black one. One of them. Now suddenly they ain't got no black one. So now they got a little boy turn around and telling me the same thing. In your communities, there are no black role models. We got shade drug lords, tyrants, criminals. That is what he's trying to tell us as a nation and as a part of a black community. That's what they're trying to tell us. So now they're trying to seek the willpower to gun us down in the streets. They're trying to gun us down in the streets. So we can't talk. We must sit down and accept them gunning us down, hunting us like a prey, because they are now considered themselves predators. At what cost? At what cost? You're going to give me a house lot. You're going to give me a loan for $15 million. Still got to pay for it, but at what cost? You got to take out a life insurance policy so you can die quicker. Think about it. You go to the bank. The banking institution doesn't trust you because of the color of your skin. We're not good creditors. So they don't want to credit us anything. We salary scale and the area in which we come from. So in order for them, although the salary might meet, in order for them to give us that loan, we must take out a life insurance policy. We still paying for everything. I don't know what 50,000 house lot they were talking about. At least they ain't giving me free. At least they're not giving us free. And you know what? Mr. Goberdan, or whatever your name is, Leon Goberdan, Buxton was one of those villages that were bought by slaves. So you're talking about what the APNU AFC did give Buxtonians. They don't have to give them anything. They're an independent village. They don't want anything from the government. That is why they're so independent, the government doesn't like them. No government likes them. So before you start talking about a village, a particular village, study about the history of that village. No government likes a village that is independent from the central government. It finds its own money, that feeds its own people by having farmlands. They have their own food security. They're a thriving community. We try to dethrone them. We try to take their property from them. That's what we try to do. That's what the PPP tries to do. And they turn around and asking, what did the APNU AFC government did for Buxton? No party hasn't done anything for Buxton. They just don't like the people because they're rebellious. You check it. All the villages that are rebellious, they don't like that. They don't like them at all. So before we sit down and we start spewing things out of our mouth, let us think and study about the history of that place. Hold on, somebody I want black a little while now, and I just saw him popped up. Yes, so just block that person. And a football ground doesn't talk about the prosperity of a village. What does sports do? What does it enhance? The living condition? Does it feed people? No. Does it educate them? No. So what does sports do? What is the only thing that you think a person of Afro origin needs? A football ground, a pair of pegs, long sock, and a drum of water. You think that's all we need? Think of it. Think again. That's why I'm so rebellious. That's why I'm on this ear all the time, talking about the People's Progressive Terrorist Party and the destructive elements of who they are. Because they're no good. I don't like them. I don't entertain them. Barjack just murdered hundreds, thousands of Guyanese, both Afro and Indian. And it is the same vice president we have. It is the same dunce that we got as the president represents the vice president. Same de facto administration. It is the same people who are now pumping money into state-sponsored terrorism because they're now terrorizing these villages with their presence and their known attributes. So that's why when people like me talk about them, you don't like it. You don't like to be reminded there's nothing good that the PPP did. Never, ever. There's nothing good that they did. Until now, they're not doing anything good. What they're doing, they're giving back you your money. They're giving you your lands that belongs to you. Party giving 50,000 house lots? By what? Does the house lot belongs to them? No. Belongs to the state. Who is the state? The people. Who is the people? The Constitution. What is the Constitution? The representation of the People's Act. Oh, we don't like hear those things? Oh, Mr. Matthews, no, don't talk about those things. I like to talk about it because the land belongs to us. According to the Constitution, it has to be distributed. For every government, that's their policy. What makes them different is their economic policies that they administer to the country that makes it develop. And there's no economic or economy in the PPP. It's three things: death, drugs, and guns. That's the PPP. Death, guns, and drugs. DGD. That's what they're known for. You see all them drugs we see taking place, Boston, 1.5 ton, 11 ton, 1,100 pounds. You can see how much people can start dying for it just now. It's the usual thing. When you take the man cocaine and can't meet where it's supposed to meet on time, you got to answer the question. Money got to be paid. But here was the hurtful part of the thing. Now we got the Chinese, which is involved. And they want to borrow $1.6 billion from China. Now, what are they giving up in case they can't pay the $1.6 billion? That suddenly gets hush-hush, sweep under the table. Nobody's talking about it. But we got people running around claiming to be representatives of this country. And they can't represent their own selves. And they're trying to tell you what you should do and what you must not do. And if you can't do it, well, we can send the police to arrest you. We can send the police to harass you. We're going to send the police to do all sorts of these things. Now, we got more terrorism involved on the internet. State-sponsored again. Now, we got to ask viewers now who are looking at the Gavin Matthews show to log out of your Facebook and log in back when it's time that you need to do it, because they got people who are now being paid by the PPP to hack your Facebook account, create duplicates, so you can always be on Facebook. Now you got to make sure you go into these things now and find these duplicates and block them. Because the people who are accustomed to seeing or receiving Gavin Matthews show on the Facebook are not doing it right now. They're not seeing it because you know why? They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on blocking me from telling you the truth. It becomes a problem for them. Just so they can see when they can't get at me now, they can send out a wanted bulletin. Like I find some criminal. To the truth. I can speak the truth. And if that's a crime, I prefer go to jail for that. I prefer die for that. Because that's the only way a country like this would be free. We'd be free from tyrants and terrorists like the PPP. Because this is what they're accustomed to. They spend their money. They spend the public's money to sponsor terrorism. To make a village ungovernable. To disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of people and votes. So your will can never speak anymore. So Order 60 becomes the order of the day. State-sponsored terrorism. And we constantly keep running into this thing because you know why? It's just there all the time. It's just there. It isn't going anywhere. It becomes a stinking disinfectant. Hold on. I don't want you to mistake yourself for certain things. The PNC, don't let me fool myself. It's a group of black people. They can't be racist. They were never racist. There's no history in the People's National Congress or the APNU AFC coalition. Could never be a racist group of people. They were never. It's not in their DNA. We like to combine everything with everybody. We want to have an inclusivity of government. But we must have people with common sense also too. For the PPP, they like the racism because they practice it. And becomes a terrorizing thing for everybody who's participating in it because they like to make Chinese uncomfortable. Becomes a terrorist grouping, and that's what the PPP is. And all their affiliates, all of their ministers, bunch of terrorists because they affiliate themselves with a group that terrorizes a nation in many ways. That's who they are. Don't let me fool myself. Don't let me fool myself. Don't ask the question if that black man is a terrorist or if that black man is a racist. It's impossible. We might try, some of our best may try from time to time, but we still can't be terrorists. We still can't be a racist. We don't have it in our DNA. I know the PPP do. They like that. Oh, they hold lots of dancehall music to that. And even to promote it some more, they have the blessings of hits and jams. Now we got taxpayers' money even going down the drain some more. So in order to finish off the airport now, Guyana got to borrow some more money. Because the contracting company, which is a Chinese contracting company, hasn't fulfilled the contract as how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be finished by now. We got to find more money for that. And just so we might owe China, they might cease to Mary International Airport. Like what they're running around the place doing to other countries. And then we got a group of people here who think that they are hooligans, who thinks that they are racist terrorists, think that they're doing them any good or the international community. No, they're destroying the country that we call Guyana, that we call home. Hold on. Yes, I just blocked some other people there. Good. What we're doing to ourselves is destroying ourselves every single day with these people more and more. Every day that they give themselves power, right? They're destroying us. Every day we give them an extra day in office, they're crippling this economy. And they're spewing out money to their conglomerates who are accustomed to tyranny and terror. They're accustomed to dishing it out on the people. It is just a time. It's already started. But they're doing it slowly to see our reaction. I said this and I'm going to say it again. We're going to wake up in the morning here, 10, 15, 20, 30 people dead at one time. And then we can come out and start crying. We can play the tune, "Oh, I wake up this morning," to the sounds of crying of another mother shedding her tears. Oh, Jah. We can wake up hearing those tunes again. We had 10 years of it. 12. And those are the years of Bar Jack Dio, the decade of terror in this country. Now we're having the same state who's sponsoring terrorism, running after our black leaders, locking up our elders, trying to make public examples out of them. For no reason at all. You can't find a single thread of evidence. Then they got a little boy telling us that we don't have any black leaders, role models. When you're now trying to destroy them, that work so hard to meet to the position in which they are. The police force and the army full of black role models and leaders. Something is wrong with them now because nobody's speaking out. And you know what? It's a constant thing with them. They keep repeating itself over and over and over and over again. So these people are hard at work. To those who are listening, they're very much hard at work. They're pushing overtime to get things done, to muzzle us. That's why in the Facebook or on the YouTube or on the Instagram or the Twitter, they're working overtime to silence us. They're doing it via Facebook first because Facebook has a wider view, a wider range, a variety of people from all across the globe. Guyanese from all over, families who are related to Guyanese here in Guyana are looking and paying attention. While these people are sponsoring terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism. That is what the PPP has fallen on. Because they tell themselves, well, okay, we can handle the AP and UFC. Once we shake, we pocket, they're going to listen. It's going to tell themselves no. So they're now coming to the black communities. Because we got some rebellious ones like Gavin Matthews who are demanding civil rights and justice to be given to all Guyanese, even to those of the Afro community. Because apparently, like, we lack that representation thereof. But now we lack it. We have it. But they just want to suppress us even more. And I'm trying to help those to wake up and understand where we're going as a nation. And this is a constant bang with them. It is something that we still have to identify. We always have to identify. We always have to speak out against it. We have to nip it in the bud. We got to bring it to the forefront. We got to identify it. We got to tell our people to keep focus and release themselves from this bondage. I was happy today when I walk in town and I see Vision Street was actually empty. A lot of people weren't buying. I was happy because we have to starve the business community of our monies. We have to keep our monies in our pockets. Don't spend at their stores. Don't spend our monies at their stores. Don't buy their clothing. Don't buy their music. Don't buy their fancy chairs, China, you name it, don't buy it. Because all these people are preying on. They're like predators. Entrapment. bring us to a position where they want us. We mustn't have a choice. We must be able to say that no means no and yes means yes. No to terrorism. No to racism. No to oppression. Yes to freedom. We're having some serious problem, guys, because this is what we have to handle on a daily basis. Whilst the state is running in and out of our houses trying to tell us how we live, terrorism is spewing through our community, destroying the black family. It's now becoming a thing of the present, not the past, because it's repeating itself. Nobody suddenly wants to talk about it. It becomes a sensitive topic. I can't understand what's sensitive or how sensitive this is, because it's right before our eyes. It's just time for it to happen again. It presented itself like this of the past, and now it's presenting itself again. It's rising its ugly head. And when we keep silent, the PPP likes this. They utilize our silence for an approval. That is why the international community doesn't get involved. Because they're saying all this is happening to Guyanese as they're claiming. Right? As they're claiming all of this is happening to them. All of this is happening to them. And they're not doing anything about it. I wonder why. Nobody's coming out to protest. The leaders are not encouraging them to protest for their rights and their freedom. The leaders are not encouraging them to have their will be returned to them, which is the Constitution. So what is really happening? How can we help you? How can we give you help when you do not seek of it thereof? It's now becoming a topic that the whole opposition doesn't even want to talk about. I want to talk about it. I want to make sure that people can be assisted, people can be helped. People can seek political enforcement, a political will, a political power, a political representation. People can seek it without feeling terrorized by another party because you try to seek it while they're in government. And it's a constant fight. When I get into government, you're going to feel it. And when you step out, you're going to feel when I step in. That's the constant fight. We need to get rid of that. It's not doing our country any good. And when you talk about it now, they don't want you to talk about it. It's a sensitive topic. You have to. Our will and the rights of our people have been taken from them. They need to have a right of a representation to represent them when it's needed, when that time is ready and the time is needed. Our people have a right to representation. Our people have a right to have their will being portrayed by the Constitution and not taken from them by the same Constitution that is designed to give them their will. The will to exercise their powers, not the powers of the politician, their powers. Suddenly that now is being put on the forefront because nobody hasn't a will anymore. Whether it be PPP or PNC or AP and UAFC. Nobody got a will anymore. That's been taken from you. The smaller parties when they went during election time, that they were claiming for recounting, and were making a lot of noise because they would be properly paid, even to their will and all to was taken away. And nobody's contesting. Suddenly people started to speak out here and there because they're feeling the squeeze of a de facto government that is being headed by a murderer, Mr. Barrett Javier. They're feeling the squeeze. They are trembling because they can't speak out. They got to sit down and watch he talk for them. And it's only he could sit down and abuse and defame people on the television. But nobody can defame him. Because he got the Ghana police force in his right hand. So when they talk about him, we can issue a wanted bulletin. Suddenly, everybody got to sit down and accept the crap that comes from these people. Why must we? Why must we? Makes no sense. Think about it. We have everything that is available to us. Why must we accept that what is not available to us? In other words, why must you sit down and accept stupidness when we can have a proper representation? We're supposed to embrace how great are we as a nation and as a people of 6 races. Now we got to be fighting for our own rights to coexist because of a government that's so barbaric and racist and installed by an international community that shows no end in their autocracy. When they talk about it, oh no. Well, I'm back again. Seems to me that there is either that, and I don't think it's a camera problem, but I'm near finished though. Don't have to worry. We need to let these people know time is enough. Enough is enough. The time is now. As I said the last time, if you don't want to come out and protest or you don't want to get locked up, don't come out. Stay home. If you don't want to stay home, well, don't buy these people stuff. Don't go drink the rum. Don't go turn up at the places that host the most glamorous events according to you, to get drunk and doesn't know what happened next morning. Don't go to these things. Stay home and keep your money in your pocket. Spend some time with your family. Family time is important now. Let your children get to know you because you don't know what tomorrow will bring with this de facto administration. They're like a roaring kitten seeking to pick a fight with the pit bulls. And they still can't pick a fight by themselves because they got to hire a pit bull to fight a pit bull. They're trying to tell us that nothing can stop them from doing what they're doing. Constantly, every day. Every hour that goes by constantly reminds me of how illegal these people are. They're not to be trusted. We have to stop allowing these things to happen. Speak out against it. Get up and talk. Address your problems in the community. Be an elder. Be a role model. Start from where you are, and you can see the difference. Become a leader. Don't wait for every 5 years to look for one. Become one now, today. You have that opportunity. Them ain't got none. They ain't even got an ounce of education, and they call themselves president. You who have 10 pounds, you're giving it up. Don't give it up. Just like that. Do not give up your will. Do not give up your constitution to people who cannot represent it. They can't even sit down on a board of a representation to represent
first
us.
You'll have to unlock your device.
They can't do nothing. They can't even go sit down and ask Exxon for the audit for 9.5 billion US dollars that they claim that they spent. They're not qualified to, they have no experience. So they can't approach Exxon. They can't sit down and have a revised study of the contract that is still up for revision today like today because it's null and void. They still can't do that. These people have no sense at all. And on the same contract now, Exxon is trying to build another vessel, another bulk terminal vessel for the oil on Guyana's contract because we got to pay for it without our permission. Think of it. Them boys this thing got no brains. They claiming to have brains, but they have none. Zero. But I want to thank those who took their time out to be a part of the Gavin Matthews show this evening. And to say to you, I appreciate you. Join me tomorrow again at 7:30 to 9 o'clock, where we'll have all the discussions. I have a topic in mind, but I'm waiting for some more information to make that topic available tomorrow because I want to make sure it's a legit information and not somebody feeding me some things extra. But it's supposed to be out in the public, but let me look at it first, and tomorrow we'll have that discussion. So we thank you very much for joining me. I want to say to you, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget to approach the Gavin Matthews page to vote in a referendum and to donate on the GoFundMe towards the process of the referendum. Once again, I must say this before I complete that the Christmas feed is still on. I've received some barrels so far. I have a couple more to receive, and it's a lot more. It's a lot of clothing. I still need to complete those clothing with Hampers food to share out before the Christmas. I have lots of clothes, lots and lots and lots of clothing. Plenty. We just need the food or the food stuff to make those hampers complete. So contact me on my number, 611-6575, and I'll tell you where to go to complete that donation, or you can donate it on the GoFundMe site, and I will get your contributions as quick as possible. Once again, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones who take into public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying good night and Cheerios for now.